Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today, I'm going to discuss the Chris Arreola versus Andy Ruiz Jr., the aftermath of that fight. Now, people might be asking why. Well, you know what I've noticed living in California? First off, I only do the breakdown or the is-on breakdown and aftermath videos for my 12 most must-see fighters in the sport, or for a huge fight like the undisputed title fights taking place between Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez and Jermell Charlo and Brian Castano. That's for the undisputed title. That's a very big deal. That's history. So I'll do them on special type fights like that, you know, or special type matchups if you're not one of the top 12 most must-see fighters. But, you know, I was searching around for a 12th fighter. I had Mikey Garcia kind of drop off. His inactivity has kind of done that. He dropped off my top 12 most must-see fighters list. And I was searching for number 12. And living in California, being, you know, half Mexican myself, and knowing the Mexican community the way I do, and it's a big community, you know, I mean, out here it is. I mean, the Mexican fight fans are very passionate. They are very one-sided. I like to think that I am not as one-sided, not even close. I don't care about race. I care about the fighters and who the best fighters are. You know, I remember picking Miguel Cotto again over Antonio Margarito when they fought, and getting shit from my family about it because it was, you know, because I wasn't picking the Mexican. But I don't care. I don't look at that stuff, you know. But just being in this community and knowing what these fighters mean in California all the way down to Mexico, you know, Andy Ruiz, his upset of Anthony Joshua a couple years back, and then his rematch, you know, what that meant for a Mexican heavyweight champion to the Mexican people was huge. And he is just a big name. He fought on a pay-per-view against Chris Arreola on April, I think it was May 1st, I'm sorry. And, you know, it was a big deal. You know, there was a lot of people interested in that and watching Andy Ruiz fight. Andy Ruiz training under Eddie Reynoso now, Canelo's trainer. You know, it just made him even more, and him getting in better shape, it made the fight interesting. So, doing an aftermath video, even though I didn't do an is-on or a breakdown video, seeing that fight and what it meant to the Mexican people, I think Andy Ruiz, and with the heavyweights back with a absolute force, you know, I consider Andy Ruiz now one of the top 12 most must-see fighters in boxing. Now that could move around, that could, you know, drop, that could, you know, he can move up the list, he can move down the list. It just really depends on how certain fighters do, how other fighters do. I can tell you right now, one guy that's very close to it is Jermell Charlo. He's very close to hitting into the top 12. You know, he's very popular. But for now, I'm going with Andy Ruiz, so I'm going to do an aftermath video on his fight with Chris Arreola here. And what I do in the aftermath video is what do we take from the fight, you know, how each fighter is now following that fight. And with Andy Ruiz, you know, what do we take from that fight? It was a good fight. He got hurt early. He actually got put down in the second round, and from there, you know, it was a tough battle, but he ended up outworking Chris Arreola and walked away with a 12-round decision. It wasn't easy, but considering he dropped weight, considering he hadn't fought in a year and a half, you know, it kind of, you know, I mean, I don't think it's anything to be worried about. Andy Ruiz, one second. Let's be honest, Andy Ruiz is not the most skilled guy. He has skills, he has good timing. His fast hands when he's on the inside is what led to the knockout of Anthony Joshua. You know, it made him a star. But, you know, he is there to get hit. He's not a huge in terms of height heavyweight, so he's coming in. He doesn't have just that wicked one-punch power, you know. So, you know, he's there to be hit, and he's fighting a guy in Arreola who's 40, but Arreola also has always been able to take shots. You know, he took Deontay Wilder's fucking shots for 8 rounds, and I want to say, I can't remember how that fight ended. I know Wilder finished him, but I don't know if it was because of an injury or what. But, Wilder's got the most explosive power maybe of any heavyweight I've ever seen. So, he shouldn't have expected to come in there and just blast out Andy Ruiz. I mean, Chris Arreola by no means. I knew he was going to have to break him down in order to stop him. But I'm not surprised, his style, he's trying to work on his style, trying to get it more to that boxer puncher slash that Canelo has, that Oscar Valdez has now, and that's going to take some time and discipline, and he's going to have to get his weight under control. But Andy Ruiz, he looked okay, it wasn't his best performance, but it was he got the win, and now he's back on everybody's radar. So that win, what does it do for him? Well, I mean, it pretty much keeps him where he was at, 4 or 5 in the heavyweight division right now. Some people might argue Dillian White for number 4. The fact that he got his ass knocked out cold against Alexander Povetkin, I'm not going to give him the number 4 spot. He's number 5 for me. Not ahead of Andy. Andy Ruiz beat the guy that knocked out Dillian White. He beat Anthony Joshua, knocked him out, and he went 12 rounds with him in the rematch. So, and that's something Dillian White didn't do. He didn't beat him, and he didn't go 12 rounds either. So, for me, it's Andy Ruiz is number 4 in the heavyweight division, behind 3 other guys that are on the most must-see fighters list: Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, and Deontay Wilder. So, Andy Ruiz is sitting in some good company. But now he's going to have to get in there, in my opinion. He needs to move forward from this fight with a big fight. It's got to be a big fight. He's got to fight. If he doesn't fight one of the top 3, which I am drooling and hoping him and Deontay Wilder fight next. That's the fight I want to see. But if he, for some reason, doesn't do that, I hope it's somebody else, like, on the next tier, like Dillian White. I would love to see that fight. Why not make that fight happen? They've talked so much shit to each other. I think a lot of people would be into it. It's 2 top 5 heavyweights going at it. Why not do it? Luis Ortiz, oh my God, I would love to see that fight. And if Andy Ruiz beats either one of them, he is guaranteed to fight one of the big 3 after that. No doubt. So, I'm hoping that Deontay wants to fight him next, but if for some reason he doesn't, Andy Ruiz is not in bad shape if he goes after Dillian White or one of those guys following, first, right now, second half of the year. If you're a big name, one of the most must-see fighters, if you're going to take a lower level fight, the next fight has to be a higher level fight. It has to be a big fight against a top fighter, This was a lower level fight to shake off some rust against Arreola. Now Andy Ruiz needs to push forward towards something bigger in the second half of the year. He definitely needs to fight a top 10 guy, in my opinion, next. That should happen, no doubt. Unless he feels like he's got to shake off some more rust and have a better performance. But I hope he doesn't, because heavyweights only fight twice a year, for the most part. Unless you're on the rise and stuff. But still, those guys, they're bigger guys, so they don't like to overdo it, So we'll see. We'll see what happens. That was a nice win, or not a nice win, but it was a hard fought, and he got the deserving victory. Chris Arreola, aftermath for him is maybe that's it for the former world title challenger. He's gotten to the point where he, fought for titles a couple times. He came up short. He fought 2 great fighters. He fought Vitaly Klitschko. He fought Deontay Wilder, 2 really big name heavyweights, and no shame in coming up short to either one of those guys. He was tough as nails. He could take shots, and he's been in there with some of the best. So nothing to hang his head about. Maybe this is a good way to go out on your shield, not getting knocked out, and fighting toe-to-toe against a premier heavyweight, So not a bad performance, and like I said, not a bad way to go out, and maybe this should be his swan song. Maybe he should wave the white flag and say, I'm done. But we'll see what happens. But that's it. That's the Andy Ruiz, Chris Arreola aftermath. Hope you guys enjoyed it. True Boxing, you've been hit with the truth.